Alright guys, here we are with the latest episode in the Starski and Hutch Ford Torino build. This is a Revell kit, 1/25th scale. Okay, we're going to be taking a look at the body and the chassis, which is completed along with the interior, and just my thoughts on a couple of things. Here we have the interior, which I've carpeted using using what the heck is it called? Sorry guys, it just slipped my head for a moment. Hold on. Okay, I'm back now. I decided to try embossing powder with this kit. If anyone of you have seen my builds before, I normally use flocking powder. I've heard some good things about the embossing powder, so I thought I'd give it a shot. And here we have the carpeting in the car, and the embossing powder does give you a nice scale correct look to the carpeting. Actually looks like real carpeting. It's a little harder to put on than the flocking powder, as it likes to fall right off. You really have to pat it down. Uh, from what I found using this at Hobby Lobby, one of these little plastic bottles holds enough to do quite a few vehicles. But if you don't pat it down completely, you'll notice that it has a tendency to fall off. If you see here, I'm gonna have to reapply here. But other than that, I do like the way it looks. I haven't decided whether I like it more than embossing than the other stuff yet, but I like the way it looks. Here you can see the full detail. This kit has a very nicely detailed dash. The decals go on very well on the dashboard. The other decals are something we'll talk about later. Um, I've applied bare metal foil for all the trimming on the interior. You can see the door handle there, the window crank, the chrome accents on the door panel. And here you can see the finished police radio that I've added a coiled wire to. I cut off the wire they had, and I used a coiled wire. It's a cable that I get from Tamiya. You can order it directly from Tamiya USA. It comes in different sizes. And curled it up and applied it to the radio and the handset. And then I took stainless steel mesh and applied it to the handset and the radio as a speaker. Just a little detail there to give it a little more of a realistic look. The stainless steel mesh I got from Model Car Garage, along with the seat belts which I've installed. The seat belt material is from Hobby Lobby. The buckles are from Scale Model Car Garage. They sell all sorts of really nice detailing things for your models. And you can see the seat belts in the rear. It's got the 3 seat belts in the front. And that pretty much does it for the interior, which is fully completed. Goes together very well. Everything just seems to fall right into place. Gotta hand it to Revell. This kit just really just goes together nicely. There are separate decals for each one of the gauges, along with decals for the wood trim. What I did was I applied those, and then I used the future floor polish to seal the decals in the dash and give them a nice shine as if it's laminated wood. All right, let's take a look at the chassis. Okay, here we have the completed chassis. If you've been following the build, I've already gone into the modifications I've done to the engine, spark plug wires, and the paint work on the chassis itself, the weathering, the coloration of the exhaust. All of that I've covered in other videos. If you haven't seen them, you should check it out. What I want to talk about is the wheels and how they attach to the car. Alright, the Revell kits come with a metal pin, which inserts into the rear wheel half and is sandwiched between the front and rear and the tire. Now that pin gets pushed into the axles and is a press fit for the axles when you're putting it together. The problem is that when you're trying to press it into the axle, the pins won't go in all the way. As I found out on the rears, I put them in and they were stuck in there, and as I tried to pull them out, you run the danger of breaking the axle. And then you get wobbly wheels when they don't seat all the way. Now, luckily, when you sit the car down, it does sit straight. You don't get the wobbly wheel effect as the tires are wide enough that it gets a good contact patch and they sit straight. So the car doesn't look horrible. What I found when I was installing the fronts is that if you remount the holes in the axles a little bit, enlarge them just a little bit on the axles, it makes it easier to press the pin all the way into the axle so that the wheels don't wobble as they did on the front, which are pretty straight now. That's the only way I found that you can install these wheels without damaging anything. As you see, if I back and forth, it wobbles, but still displays nicely even with the loose wheels. And there's another look at the detailing on the suspension. The front suspension is a single piece unit, but with a little painting and detailing, looks pretty nice. And I added coil springs front and rear just for a little more realism, as those large pins that hold the suspension components in place look completely out of scale with the vehicle. But here the springs cover the pins and just add a little more detail to it. Alright, now let's take a look at the body. Okay, the body is nicely made. I have just finished the lengthy process of wet sanding and polishing to bring out a really nice shine. Don't really have too much to say about the body negatively, other than the molding around the window on the driver's side is not exactly as crisp as it should be. But other than that, the rest of the body is pretty nice. If you sand down all the mold lines and clean it up a little bit, it does show very nice. Now, my issue, which is my biggest problem with this kit so far, is the white stripe decal. It doesn't want to sit on the body when you apply it, and then you have to use a lot of decal setting solution just to get it to conform to the body. And it may have something to do with the age of the kit. The decals just started to tear on me as I was applying them, and that made it quite problematic to install them properly. You have to make sure you can line them up as well, as when you first apply them, they won't want to meet up the rear with doors. It takes a little bit of work, a lot of decal setting solution to get them to line up properly. This one on the passenger side tore in several places. I'm missing a chunk of it here, which I had to fill in with paint. On this side, it tore on the door here and tore up here, and they were just a bear to install. If you're building this car as a Starski and Hutch car, you may be better off just painting the stripe on, as the decals really are a pain to put on. But once you get them on, they do make the look of the car. I'm also in the process right now of adding some extra detailing to the engine compartment, as I've been looking up reference photos and videos for the car to find out exactly what was in there, because I'm not really that familiar with this model. But it's coming along. I've seen a few builds where the engine compartment is red. From what I've seen in the research that I've done, it is actually black in there, not red. So if you're building this car and you want to be as screen accurate as possible, you got to go with black in the engine compartment. And the wheel wells on the inside also black. All right. Well, that's about it for now. I'm heading toward the end on this build. And the next video, we'll be talking about installing the major components together and getting this thing done. All right. I guess I will see you on the next one.